exact fight date coming up yet. A lot of talking. Pulev situation is a serious situation, but I can tell you now, I'm not going to Bulgaria. What else can I say? They definitely got to come up with some more bread. That's for sure.
There you have it. Jarrell Miller saying on an Instagram live feed that he will not be travelling to Bulgaria to fight Kubrat Pulev. And to top it off, he wants more money. For me, it's actually a very disappointing stance, and it raises a whole bunch of questions like, why did he and his team even bother to go to a purse bid? What other better options are out there that pay Jarrell Miller more? How exactly does he think he can get more money for this fight when the splits have been decided they're in? And does Miller expect to fight at home his whole career? And another question, does Miller just want a soft ride to a title? Because it's looking that way. There's a bit to unpack, so buckle in. Let's go. As it stands, the promotional company Epic Sports and Entertainment, it's looking to hold the Pulev-Miller fight on September 1st in Bulgaria. And that's after it won the purse bid with more than $2.1 million US being the winning bid. Its chief executive Ivalo Gotsev, in late June, he was quoted as saying, Miller's promoters told the IBF they wanted the fight and that Miller was available. Contracts have been sent, and he also stated that they looked at staging the event in America, but Miller wasn't a big enough draw to interest the major US boxing networks, and they all turned the fight down. So there's certainly a contrast when Miller flat out refuses to fight Pulev in Bulgaria per that Instagram post. And this is where I get a bit confused by Miller and the actions of his promoters Dmitry Salita and Greg Cohen. Team Miller could have just turned the fight down from the outset once Miller and Pulev was ordered. But instead, they went to a purse bid. They let that process occur, and you saw from the earlier slide, Miller's promoters didn't even bother submitting a bid. They didn't put anything forward. And Epic Sports and Entertainment, it was always likely to bid again, given they'd recently won the Kubrat Pulev and Dillian Whyte purse bid. So, what exactly did Miller's promoters think was going to happen? The fight was always going to land in Bulgaria if it made the most financial sense to hold it there. And many of us just expected that that was the likely destination anyway. Epic Sports had, obviously got some deep pockets, and they've put their hand in their pocket and put out 2 winning bids consecutively now, and they want to hold the fight in Bulgaria. And Team Miller, they would have known this heading into the purse bid scenario. And they also knew that Miller's split was going to be 25%. And now we have Miller saying he won't travel. He's not willing to go to Bulgaria. And he's not happy with the money, which I might add is easily a career high payday. And then top it off with, that fight, if he took it, it would take him through to a mandatory shot at the IBF champion. The path there to Anthony Joshua or whoever holds the belt, it's laid out. One fight Pulev, get through, get your mandatory shot. So it begs the question for me, did Miller and his promoters just think that somehow they would be able to persuade Epic Sports into holding the fight stateside? And we have Ivalo Gotsev making it abundantly clear the TV networks had no interest in having Miller headline a fight. Not a big enough draw. He doesn't have that star power yet. So I also don't get Miller's comments that they better come up with some more bread because the 75-25 split is non-negotiable. Surely he must know this, because if he doesn't, maybe he needs to learn this. There will be no more bread. They're not coming up with any more. You either take the career high payday of more than 500k, or you don't. It's that simple. Jog on if you don't. And here's another thing that I find a bit bizarre. Team Miller would have seen what happened when Dillian Whyte recently went to purse bid with Kubrat Pulev, and then later pulled out to fight Joseph Parker. Whyte was dropped from the rankings entirely. So as it stands, Miller, who's currently 3rd in the IBF rankings, he's likely to get torpedoed from the rankings when they're next updated, and that could be in the next month or so. It makes you think, did they actually really even think about all of this and what the potential ramifications were before they went to the purse bid? I mean, it all just seems a bit quizzical and bizarre and silly. Sure, fighting on foreign soil, it's never ideal, but Miller's insistence on fighting in America, which he stated a number of times before that's what he wants to do, he wants to continue fighting in the US, preferably Brooklyn, it could ultimately hobble his prospects to some degree, and it could affect his standing with fans. Because on the face of it, the Pulev fight, it was one that Miller had a great shot of winning regardless of the location. Pulev is now 37, he's been out of the ring for more than a year, and we have no idea what the guy has got left. So I just kind of don't get where Jarrell Miller is coming from here. But okay, say he doesn't sign the contract, he walks away from the Pulev fight. What better immediate prospects does he actually have? He's not rated by the WBC, he won't sign up to the clean boxing program, so that's out. But he is rated at number 3 in both the WBA and WBO, see on screen here. In the WBO, it's actually likely he'd need to fight a final eliminator to get a title shot, so he'd be in the same position he's in now in the IBF. And there's no guarantee that that would be on American soil, and there's no guarantee the money would be any better than what's currently on offer, what's on the table right now. So he could go the WBO route, but I think it's more likely he's going to target the WBA. And why? Well, simply put, it will provide the softest path to a title. But he may have to wait some time before facing the winner of the Manuel Char and Frezequindo fight. That fight is in September. So if he is targeting the WBA, best case scenario is the winner of that fight faces Miller the back end of this year, but it's more likely it would be held sometime in early 2019. So if Miller goes the WBA route, he could potentially be on the shelf for the rest of the year. And even then, if he does fight ahead of a fight with Char or Oquendo, it would likely be some sort of soft, stay busy fight. And I would find it very hard that any money that would be on the table for a Char or Oquendo fight would be any better than the 500 plus K he's going to get facing Pulev now. And simply put, if he goes the WBA route, it is the path of least resistance. Many fans will be on Miller accusing him of taking the easiest route to a title shot. I'm saying it now, it is the easier route to a title shot. Miller surely must realize his popularity has already been in his career capped to a degree because he hasn't been fighting big names or guys in their primes. He's been talking up wins over the likes of Marius Wok and Johan Dorper. He can keep talking that up all he likes, but these guys are former title contenders on the slide. He was expected to beat them handily, and he did. This guy, Jarrell Miller, actually needs a name on his record, a name that fans are still high on. And Pulev represents a guy that could be that name, someone who is still regarded as a top 10 contender. And ultimately, Miller needs to consider that his work in the ring is going to be what wins fans over. His mouth can only get him so far. And case in point, Miller believes at the moment he's a top 3 heavyweight. Does anyone really believe that on the strength of what he's done? It's kind of laughable in a way. The level of competition, it's just been okay, but he needs to step it up. He needs to step it up to grow his profile to a point that the American networks actually want to have him headlining a bill on their network. As it is, should he get through Char or Oquendo and eventually get a shot at Anthony Joshua or whoever holds the belt at that stage, Miller will definitely be the B side in that equation, no matter what he says. So why not work for some respect now, take on a Kubrat Pulev, and actually get some respect from the fans? But I'll come back to one of my original questions. Does Miller expect that he's only going to get it his way and fight at home in America during his career? I would have thought that's a little bit of a short-sighted view, especially considering he's without the backing of a big-time promoter. He's not currently wanted by the networks, and he hasn't had any exclamation point performances to wow fans. Sure, he's had some solid wins, but the grind him into the dust type of performances that Miller's put on, it doesn't exactly wow casual fans. And casual fans run boxing. They want knockouts. They want to see really entertaining fights. And importantly, and I would throw hardcore fans into this, you want to see competitive matchups. If Miller keeps opting for softer fights, he can never hope to gain the respect that his mouth already says he deserves. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.